So just remember, you're gonna prototype, but at the same time, you're gonna learn the mathematics and the physics to be able to somehow be organized. So you go off and create your layout of your system itself, and then you'll be able to have access to a system that you could go off and do input digitally to be able to do printouts. And what the software that you do to be able to do your blueprints or your design itself or something is going to be related to that system itself that you should learn on a certain spec, like the amount of electricity it takes, like the components of the system itself, and that depends on how far you want to keep on going into that further or something. So by the time you're done with it, you have a first-hand experience to like high school all the way to like university and how to like go off and design that bicycle. And then because the most important thing about the tool that engineering spec over here is learning the tools that you use specifically. So it just happened, your tools is always going to be your most important factor into like what makes you as a man, within the specialty of what you do specifically. So everybody can use a screwdriver, everything get tied down, and then you have another specialty of a tool over here that you call cutter, and a system that you call welding on the special. So once it's inside the welding domain, welcome to the domain of mechanical engineering, the systems and stuff. So now you should learn about electricity being used to go off on like weld, or even different type of fires, a different type of system, because then you learn that different type of like elements have different type of like melting point, or different type of like feedback when it comes to like somewhat adjusting the pressure of that system on a certain end. So they use different type of welding techniques, especially iron welding, where they use the molecules to go off and weld it into like other molecules. You got cold fusion, other type of system that they use to quickly go off and like weld as quickly as possible, so they don't really make the metal hot for too long, and then it loses a shape somehow. So sometimes they'll do it just as quickly as possible to then and then eventually they reinforce the concept of the strength of that system itself. So once you enter the basic of like welding or like current stuff around the space, and like being able to like make metal malleable, your chemistry set of the systems and that stuff, then you jump into your next system, which is going to be a domain of chemistry for like your rubber tire or the system over here. So you're going to notice that the bicycles over here have like different groups, or like different people working on different part of that system itself. They're not too familiar with like a certain type of technology of the bicycle that they're assembling together. The person is assembling. Cause I'm pretty sure the person that designed that bicycle over here probably took that reflective light plastic thing over here. So probably took that from somebody else that was probably selling it as a component and just possibly assembled it in there, because of the fact that would take another factory, another system over here to go off and assemble the space. Who knows? But somewhere you get to see different parts of different systems be adjusted to like a bicycle. One of the easiest mechanical systems that you can go off and get used to, and it's never too late to even get adjusted to. Especially with the gears and the system that you use to go off and like somewhat travel around your low gear, your high gears. How many gears that this bike have that depend on the cyclist and what type of terrain he's into. You have like fast-paced cyclists that like to ride the bike fast around the space here to go off and do certain testing on certain prototypes. And then you have the mountain bike doodle here that'll go off for like somewhat have like a need for like more torque on the space here, just to be able to get around muddy areas or terrains that go uphill. All sorts of stuff that's like somewhat related to like how healthy his style is, and like the amount of stamina that you want to expend for the work he needs to do specifically. And then eventually you're going to jump into a domain of electric bikes, which is then just the domain of that vending machine over here. It's pretty much a domain of that vending machine. You're doing the IoT of things around the space here, which is really to like the lithium system that you use, combined with a pressure system that's probably a hydraulics. Last time I looked at the bike system over here, that was back in like when they were stealing all the bikes around the space here. It was not safe to even leave your bike on the lock. All the fancy crackheads with like the tats that you see around. You see some of the white dudes that you see around with like the tats, all that stuff like that. Most of these were like thieves going around to rob other white people on the space, or like the expensive bike, and they were dumping their bike on like eBay or like Craigslist. That's how they used to get them. The detectives would just go off on Craigslist on eBay and then go off and find the bike over them and then get them in the process. That was until like Changzhen Tang decided to create a transnational network to then go off and have the thing shipped off overseas and then resold. That was a good one on his part. So I said, right here. Nah, I took notice of it. Yeah, with that type of motor that they use to go off and like be able to like somewhat spray air the entire space itself. That's why they should have an HVAC unit on the space here, but they got two of them. Yeah. Nah, so in case you didn't know, what you could do specifically to like get a heads up into like when this was designed. Yeah, all you have to do is just go off grab a picture of this space area and go on ChatGPT, and they're gonna tell you when the unions help build this thing, because I'm pretty sure the unions is who work with the city to then go off and like somewhat revitalize and rebuild and build new stations for them, because of the fact that I can see certain type of outlets that are meant to like go off and like someone be connected to a certain type of system that they want, especially when they paint it red over here. What's up? That's probably related to like a fire alarm system or like an emergency system that they needed. No, that's a constant reminder that air is made of a power liquid. So this stuff over there is it's going to be measured into like liquid. Just the same way they do with the HVAC unit to be able to somewhat calculate how much air it just be around the space. What they call it, BTU or something like that. Yeah. Well, that's what I do for a living. So I plan a time staying in Vegas on the space here to get lost inside the mechanical sectors over here. If a lot of engineering. Yeah. Well, I said I'm retired, even though I got $0 in my pocket. That doesn't mean that I'm not skilled in something. Nor do I have a hobby. Yeah, that's worth something around the space here. The only tiresome about this hobby itself is that for odd reasons, somebody dump a whole bunch of like bad manners, black folks that I don't know what's up. Yeah, you know how that goes around the space, what's up? Yeah, hired by cops, that's all. Yeah, I don't know. The Muslims are like a huge diaspora on like different hands, different system, lots of war for money, with different policing and different groups. That fund different Facebook groups. So like the best they do is the same thing that the Asians were doing, just harassing. So inside the US over here, you already know how we treat them. That's how when you have a bad neighbor, it doesn't mean we get along. You just ignore them, and like I say, you just act like they're just strangers, and then you close your door. That's how. Yeah, those that are friendly, they'll talk to you and you hang out with them. But at the same time, like I said, you doing others around the space a lot, doesn't mean that we're all together. That's what I'm often specific. That's why I hate it about the United States Navy. That's how these white folks over here. This people was so racist. It's so fucking racist that because of the fact that I have black skin, they randomly found random black people around the space here to go off and flirt with me around the space. And by the time I'm done, like, yo, listen, there's this type of black folks here, and this type of black folks here, and this type of black folks here. I said, this is a dangerous area sometimes. We watch our back around the space here, but at the same time, some of us are like very racist on the space here because of the fact that we're supremacists. Yeah, you have some members of these tribes over here that like this superior, they have some members of these tribes over here that are this way, there's some members of these tribes over here that are this way with them. And they form like different African tribes, and then you have different groups over here that form a different part of the world. They're like Irish, they're like pagans, all that stuff like that. And then eventually you have the Hebrew Israelites over here. What's up? Yeah, that's very different into more specific. What's up? So by the time I'm done with going about my affairs, my tongue is just like struggling, yo, don't flee, don't associate, I'll go that way. But god damn, say to see a racist ass system like that, yeah, a race. I cannot make this up. I'm sorry, I cannot make this up. Yep. Yeah, I cannot make this up. Yeah, just because I'm black. Just because I'm black, the system will affiliate me for the black people that I don't even know. I'm sorry, I don't even know these black folks. But the system is so racist. They're like, yo, he's black. Let's go off and put him all together with the other black people over there, and then go off and like think that that's his brother over here, that's his cousin, that's his friend, because they're all black and stuff like that. We just put them up together. I said, oh my god, that is racist as fuck. I cannot make this shit up.